However, speaking to Batman, I think that is a great segue onto our third and final topic. Again, speaking to Walter Hamada a couple days later, he went on to say that they're going to do something that has never before been done. And to his credit, he's absolutely right. They're going to have two ongoing Batman franchises theatrically. It's not like a show and a movie like The Flash, but they're going to have two going. And the first thought before I started really reading into this, I was like, oh, is this confirmation that Ben is back? But they will be recasting Batman in the DCEU. And I understand that Ben's a creative. He likes to be behind the camera almost, if not more, than in front of it now. And there's just, it was a big mess with that. And I get that they want to have maybe a later in years Batman that is experienced and can do more fantastical things, fight Clayface, aliens, things like that nature. And then the Robert Pattinson, grounded, gritty first couple years of Batman. And I think it'd be really cool to see that dichotomy between the two types of Batman. But Scott, how do you feel about this announcement? Are you a little trepidatious? What do you got?
Again, comic books have so many altering timelines and storylines. Fans will get that. The question, again, will always come down to what do they put on the screen? If it's a quality movie, quality storytelling, quality character development, it'll be fine. The one of the knocks on BVS and Justice League was that we had an older Batman, which left not a lot of forward progress, unless Bruce Wayne takes a back seat and then we shift into a Nightwing becoming Batman, or we shift into Batman Beyond style Batman where we have a takeover there. I do love kind of the Flashpoint style of the Robert Pattinson Batman, and that we get a younger version of it. And if they can find a way to tie those two things in, of being like, hey, this is the kind of the pre-story of Batman, and then here's the down the road. But the problem with that is you have to be really careful about continuity.
Well, you have two different Gordons. Different.
Oh, that's true. In that case, it's a separate universe, which is fine. But I think the shame is that we missed out on a lot of opportunity with Ben Affleck. We lost a couple of years when he was primed for that older Batman season.
Even if it was just one, I would have loved to have seen that Ben Affleck Batman Deathstroke movie, and just even if it was a one and done send off swan song, that'd been great.
Especially with Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, such a great casting.
We are going to get to see again. We don't know for how long.
That's true, but at the same time, that window, the matchup there is that Ben Affleck and Joe Manganiello both being almost 6'4" and 240-ish,
massive.
Physically, the physicality of those two guys matched up. It's really hard. That's one of the knocks on Robert Pattinson so far, is that he struggled to put on the bulk to play Batman. So how much of it is him? How much of it is suit? We'll see, but I tell you what, boy, the trailer for the Batman movie gets me jacked up. When he takes the guy down, and when he says he's vengeance, and he takes the guy down and he's just slugging him on the ground, just pounding him in, it's the intense type of physicality that we got from Ben Affleck. The Ben Affleck, and you and I agree on this, the warehouse scene with Ben Affleck is the best physicality that we get to see of Batman. And while he doesn't murder anybody, Batman does kill people.
There's casualties, but it's not murder, I guess.
Well, they threw the grenade at me. I just kicked it back down a hallway.
Yep.
And by the way, I put that guy's face through the floor. But anyways, that's one of the things I'm optimistic about, is that you can have the two separate as long as it's done well. My question being, we know where Robert Pattinson's going. What avenue they're going to take with the other storyline?
And now we get to all over again. We thought we were going to be, for like another 10 years, we were going to be done wondering who would play Batman. But now we get to do it at least one more time. Who's going to be our DCEU Batman, which was one of my biggest fears when they started talking about Robert Pattinson. And they're like, well, this is going to be another story. This is separate. And I'm like, I don't need another Dark Knight trilogy. I want Batman to interact with these other heroes. And this way, we get to have our cake and eat it too. And one of my complaints with Batman overall, because he is probably my favorite comic book character, I'm a huge Batman fan, is they've always missed an aspect of Batman. Whether they try to make it too hyper realistic, or they try to inject some humor in weird places, or they forget that he's a detective. We're getting this oops, sorry about that. We're getting this detective noir style with Robert Pattinson, and then I think that we could get the more like DC animated Justice League show with this other Batman. And so conceptually, I'm very pleased.
We could totally have a Batman Gotham type of Batman where there's centralized just there, and then you could have the Justice League universe where Batman actually has to take on more of a role globally, which would be perfect because you can paint those in two different settings. You can also paint one in a little bit happier, brighter light, and one in a much darker light. You can do different things by having the two going at the same time. And since they're clearly going to be in different time frames age-wise, an older Batman and a younger Batman, or a new Batman and an experienced Batman, you can totally do that and have it do justice, as long as the movies don't suck.
Exactly. That is the point that you have to keep coming back to. And a lot of times people were saying that you couldn't do this. Like you couldn't have a TV version of a character and a movie version or two ongoing franchise because they didn't give the general audience enough credit. And I think we're now approaching that moment in comic book movies where they're like, we're not new anymore. Your friends will educate you, or you'll educate yourself and you'll figure it out, because Marvel's done holding your hand. And I think hopefully this works out for them, but I think DC is seeing what Marvel is doing and they're like, well, we're also not going to hold your hand. I'm like, well, you haven't earned that yet, but you can try it. Because I don't know how many people are going to care about Flashpoint and everything going on in that when we have yet to get attached to this version of Barry Allen. But that's a whole nother conversation in itself. I just do think it's exciting that they are exploring the possibility of this. I mean, we have two Batmans, and then we also have on Marvel's side, they're doing like what if, and that's another exploration of different versions of these characters that we already know.
Comic book fans are some of the savviest fans out there. And we've also found out that they have money to spend at the theater,
yes.
Right?
Multiple times.
The comic book movies, the action movies, and I think especially in a time that we've had the last couple of years, and especially in 2020, and now moving forward, this ability to depart a little bit from reality and go into that fantasy world to be able to see the extreme or the crazy, fans are with it. And in comic books, the different universes, the different iterations of characters. I mean, you could have 20 different versions of Superman. You can have more than that of Batman. Spider-Man, you can have all kinds of it. And matter of fact, that is, we talked about that in one of the other podcasts if you want to check it out. But the Spider-Verse, there's all these different things that you can do. And you're right. Warner is probably taking a hint out of what Marvel has done. And hopefully they learn some things, but they don't rush to be Marvel. Marvel beat you. They gave themselves a decade head start.
And whenever you rush, bad things happen.
Just be okay with it. Move forward and take what you can.
Okay. Well, you brought up, my boy, Superman. And I need to have a sit down with Walter Hamada, because it's all great that we're getting Wonder Woman 3, Aquaman 2, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, a second Suicide Squad movie.
Black Adam.
You want to talk Batgirl, Static Shock. You want to have two different ongoing Batman franchises. That's nice. Where's my boy?
Where's Man of Steel 2?
Why are you doing them so dirty? You got a jacked, 250 pounds of just giant muscle mass sitting doing a Netflix show. You're squandering the potential of my favorite and a lot of people's favorite Superman, despite how he has or has not been handled in some of these other movies. Henry Cavill is Superman, and I'm sick and tired of constantly hearing, well, we have no plans for him. Figure it out. There's hundreds, if not more, of giant directors that would be chomping at the bit to take this property. Now, we did hear a little while ago that supposedly J.J. Abrams is going to take a crack at Superman, but it has not been confirmed whether or not he'll use Henry Cavill. Why wouldn't you?
I'm fine with J.J. Abrams wants to do that. J.J. Abrams would be the perfect guy to bring in Martian Manhunter, bring in Brainiac, bring in so many different things because he can write like it's nobody's business.
He loves space.
And he's revived franchises. He revived Star Trek. He revived Star Wars, minus passing off number 8. But anyways, that's my one slip for this week. Then Abrams is tried and true as far as his ability to interject some life, some creative writing and storytelling. Don't move on from Cavill. He is so good as Superman. And I know that we have some people who listen to this channel who disagree with that. But I tell you what, right here, me and you, buddy, we are on the same page. Henry Cavill is Superman. Also, I grew up in the 80s, and Christopher Reeve was Superman. He is Superman. And it was not until it didn't matter if it was Dean Cain or Brandon Routh or any of those guys, when Henry Cavill donned the suit, I was done. I was like, all right, this is my guy. And
just the first image of him, it was like against like the bank vault and stuff, just holding it. I was like, that man,
dude. I
didn't know who he was. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Well, I had seen Henry Cavill in Immortals and a couple other things, and such a good physical actor. And that one, he's a lean buff. Like, he's in shape, but he's lean. And then you saw the poundage that he put on to play Soups. And then one of the things that really caught the attention was the physicality of when he rips the door off the burning oil tanker and he's covered in flames and he's saving people. Like, you're in it with Henry Cavill. And I'm excited to see where they can go forward, because I know he's at least going to be in the revived Justice League movie. They've talked about Wonder Woman 3 possibly being a place to bring in Superman. There's all these different spots. Just don't move on from Cavill. He is so good as Superman.
And I'm not going to say that he doesn't still have potential, but I will say that he's now 38. He's not the young buck he was in Man of Steel. So hurry up. Let's go. Get the ball rolling. And I don't want to completely, divert the topic, but I would be remiss not to bring up my feelings about all these announcements with not even a hint of Kal-El.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I'll be honest. They've done so much stuff with DC, and they've announced so much stuff, and to leave that on the shelf and not say a word about it. And I don't know if that's contractually with Henry Cavill. Maybe they haven't been able to iron that out. That's why we only got this much of Superman and not his face at the teaser at the end of Shazam.
Also, you look at that and, like, not to be that guy, but I was like, that's not Cavill's body.
No, it didn't have the bulk.
Yeah.
But you can also see the pictures of Cavill, and I know a lot of that's training for The Witcher season 2. But I follow him on social media, and he's in shape for Superman right now. He's got the bulk back on, and not that he ever dropped it, but why would you move forward from a character who did such a great job? And I know there's some mixed emotions with people about, Man of Steel. If he hadn't broken Zod's neck at the end, sorry, spoiler alert, it's 10 years old. If he hadn't done that, I guarantee you your average fan would have been in love with the movie. But they've got this perception that he can't kill anybody, even though it was a Kryptonian and he had to save lives.
It's the same people that complain about collateral damage in BVS. It's the same crowd. They're just...
Fact is, Superman does have a code that he lives by. And
we could go into a Man of Steel tirade for any given day for hours at a time.
Let's just suffice it to say, in the canon of all the Warner DCEU stuff, Man of Steel may not have the highest rating, but it's way near the top for me. Matter of fact, I might put it as number 1 in what they've done. I think
me and you have the same top 2, whether or not that interchanges, but it's probably Shazam and Man of Steel.
I would say Shazam. Oh gosh. Well, again, we could do an entire show on this, but it's good. Bring back Cavill.
Right. All right, guys. So we talked about Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins coming back for Wonder Woman 3. 4 movies starting next year. Now I can say starting next year, we'll have 4 DC movies every year. What do you think about that? And part of that being 2 ongoing Batman franchises, Robert Pattinson, of course, being one of them. So please let us know in the comment down below what you think about all this DC news. We didn't do it intentionally, but the only people that had much to say this week was Hamada and Warner Brothers. So with that, we're going to prep for our next video here. And until next time, been Scott and Jesse. Keep
Bye,
it
guys.
real.